What's up, Everyday Blades? We got a little gem today. A knife that I had seen before, but just kind of overlooked and hadn't really planned on reviewing it. But, of course, you know me, I come across some pawn shop treasure sometimes, and then I find a knife that I think is pretty cool that I normally wouldn't have bought, which is great because it gives us a chance to review some different stuff on this channel, besides just what I think is cool. Of course, at the end of this, after having this knife for a few days and flipping it around and carrying it, I think it's not a bad little knife. So to start off with, we're talking about the Benchmade Tengu flipper and CPM 20CV liner lock. And the first thing you'll notice is it comes with this really soft, really nice slip, which is one of the reasons I wouldn't have sought it out to purchase it. I'm not a gentleman's carry type guy or a slip joint type guy. This is not a slip joint, it's a liner lock, but it's kind of in that spirit, small knives. This is something you would carry like going to a wedding or something like that if you had slacks on, put it in this slip. So let's check out the knife. It is a black G10 over a white G10. The black G10 is cut out to form that shape. And they've kind of done the G10 to kind of look like a wood grain. Kind of looks like a teak wood. They also make look how thick that blade stock is for that knife. That's substantially thick for a knife that small. They also make this knife in a gold class, and it's very expensive. I have not been a fan of the gold class. Got a little oil on there. I have not been a fan of the gold class ever since they came out, or ever since I first knew about them. To me, it's kind of like just taking a knife and putting some ugly scales on it and putting a damascene steel blade on it. Some of them don't even have a damascene steel blade. I don't understand how it's even a gold class, but they're very, very expensive. The only way I would buy one is on the secondary if I got a really amazing deal. Just wouldn't pay the premium. But this one is a Tonto. It's a pretty small knife, but I can still manage to get a four-finger grip on here with my big meat hooks. The designer is J. Oeser. I'm pronouncing that wrong. I apologize. J. period for the first name. Oeser Knives. And it's well built. I like the G10 backspacer that's done white, black. It looks really good. It's something unique. It's kind of retro. The action feels really smooth. It's dead centered. They did a really good job with it as far as build quality. It just isn't a style of knife I would normally choose, but it still gives me pleasure to handle it because it's a well-built knife, and if I carried these kind of knives, this would be one I would absolutely want. The flipper works really well. I'm also, a lot of you guys know, I'm not a big fan of flippers. I like thumb discs, thumb studs, thumb holes. I don't mind a flipper on there if it's unintrusive, but I'm not a big fan of a dedicated flipper knife. I'm a little bit of a hypocrite on that because some of the knives that I really like, they're dedicated flippers. It's just the knife is so great I overlook it. But this one's something else. They put a lot of effort in. This is an expensive knife. This knife I believe was like $250, $300. So I saw retail on it with Benchmade, which we know is a fictitious number. Nobody actually sells for retail. Was $499. I thought, holy cow, what are they doing? But Benchmade's been famous here lately for the last few years for making really expensive knives and not really justifying it. The secondary on these, I got this at the pawn shop and they were asking $159. I showed them some ads where they were on clearance for like $178, brand new, and I told them I wouldn't, and of course those were discontinued ads. It was a little bit disingenuous, but they were out of stock is what I'm saying, so they couldn't really get the knife for that, but they gave me a deal and they sold it to me for $119, which is a really good deal on this knife for $119. But I seen on eBay these knives listed, not selling, but listed for in the fives. You know, some people go crazy when something gets discontinued and think they're going to get tons of money for it. But I looked over in the sold section, and none of them have sold for anywhere near that. Like $250, $300 tops. I think one was $350, but none of them nowhere close to $5. I don't know what the value is now, but it's kind of all over the place when something first gets discontinued, till it settles in and sees what the market will really bear on it. It's funny how these knives become popular after they're discontinued. Like the Spyderco Sleece Bowie. It was mildly popular when it was available. Everybody said it was too expensive. And once it discontinued, the price shot through the roof and everybody wanted them. And it just continues to climb now. I think it's at they regularly sell for $1,000. Unbelievable. I'm glad I have one before the prices got too crazy. But yeah, let's do some measurements and stuff. I really do like this slip as far as what it is. I wouldn't like carrying it when I needed a knife. Having to take this out of my pocket, take the knife out of the slip. It just wouldn't be something I'd be interested in. Let's check the measurements. So we're 2 7/8 on the blade, under 3 inches, 3 3/4. So you can carry this a lot of places with the 3-inch rule. Let's look at it up against a couple of. Here's the Rat 2 and the Rat 1. You can see it's a pretty small knife. I mean, the Rat 1's about as small as I like to carry, and it's a little bit bigger than that. So, put these over here. Let's check the weight on it. It's a super light knife. .6 ounces. I guess my deal is I can't really see what's justifying the price on this. Because to me, this should be like $200 and under knife. But hell, what do I know? I mean, it is 20 CV. It has premium materials, but maybe I guess you could get the $250 on that if it's brand new from a retailer. But people listing them for $550 on eBay. I don't get that at all. But maybe there's a sub-market for them I don't know about. Also rare that a pawn shop has the paperwork and the box and everything. Super rare. $255. Not super sharp. Let's try that again. Let's check it in a different area. As that falls within, new cutlery. But we usually get a better reading than that. Well, of course, that's a used knife. That's right. 145. Closer to here where you get a little bit less use. We got a 145, which is really great. And I forgot it's a used knife. I don't know what the original owner cut with it. Doesn't look like a lot. I mean, this thing doesn't have a scratch or a blemish on it. It looks like a safe clean to me. But you never know. So there it is. The Tengu. One other thing I noticed is the blade seems to rest against the lock bar. It pushes the lock bar over, and the blade seems to rest on it, kind of giving the illusion that the blade is off-centered. See what I mean? On one side, you got kind of a gap there, and up against the lock bar, it's all pressed tight. But I think it's designed that way because the blade is centered. So, just something unique I noticed. And that doesn't happen until the what do they call it? The pivot ball, the detent ball falls in the detent hole. Once that does, everything kind of falls together, presses together. But anywho, Tengu flipper. Guys, thanks for watching. God bless you and your families. Say a prayer for our country. Good night.